My wife called me her coworker's name. And everything unraveled fast. I 33M never thought a single word could detonate a marriage, but it turns out it only takes a name. We were sitting on the couch, half watching a show after dinner, when my wife 32F said, "Can you hand me the blanket, Evan?" Evan isn't my name. It's the name of a guy she works with, a guy she claims she barely talks to. The second it came out of her mouth, her whole face froze. She didn't laugh, didn't correct herself, didn't even look at me at first. She inhaled sharply like someone who'd been caught mid-crime. I asked, "Did you just call me Evan?" And she immediately said I misheard her. Except I didn't. She knew I didn't. Her voice cracked when she denied it the third time. That was the moment my stomach dropped. One accidental slip is one thing. The panic afterward is another. Over the next few days, I watched her more closely. She angled her phone away from me. She stayed late at work twice that week without warning. She got defensive over questions she used to answer casually. I felt like I was losing my grip on the marriage without knowing exactly why. But something inside me wouldn't let it go. My brain kept replaying that moment on the couch like a stuck record. Then came the twist. The coworker's wife reached out to me. I didn't even know she had my number, but she texted me late one night asking if anything felt off between my wife and her husband. My hands were shaking as I typed back. We agreed to talk on the phone, and within 10 minutes it was clear we were dealing with the same gut feeling. Her husband had been distant, secretive, suddenly needing space while working more overtime than his job required. She asked if my wife had been acting strange. I told her everything, the name slip, the panic, the late nights. We decided to compare timelines. I pulled up my wife's location history. She pulled up her husband's. And just like that, 2 marriages turned into a crime scene. Days my wife said she was at the office lined up perfectly with evenings her husband claimed he was working late. The times overlapped too cleanly to be coincidence. We agreed to keep digging. She checked their shared credit card statement. I checked ours. Same restaurant charges, 2 towns over, on the same nights. Once, even the same exact order total. At that point, the evidence wasn't just hinting. It was screaming. I felt physically sick. It's one thing to suspect, it's another to watch the truth take shape piece by piece, undeniable and merciless. The coworker's wife started crying softly on the phone, saying she knew it in her gut but hadn't wanted confirmation. I told her I understood. I did. Because even though the puzzle pieces were falling into place, a part of me still wanted to believe it was all a misunderstanding, anything other than the obvious. We agreed to confront them separately but on the same night. When I asked my wife again about the name slip, she tried the same denial. When I showed her the location data, her face drained of color. When I showed her the receipts, she looked like she was going to faint. She didn't confess immediately, she cycled through every stage first: denial, anger, blaming stress, claiming emotional confusion, even saying she just needed a break from reality. But eventually she admitted it. Not with tears, not with remorse, but with a defeated sigh like she was relieved to stop pretending. She said it wasn't serious, that it just happened, that they only met up to talk at first. She said calling me his name was just a slip, but slips don't happen with strangers. Slips happen with the person you're thinking about the most. Meanwhile, the coworker's wife texted me that her husband admitted everything too, and tried to spin it like it meant nothing. 2 marriages imploded simultaneously from one accidental name. Now my wife wants therapy. She wants time. She wants to explore why she made those choices. She wants forgiveness without understanding what she broke. I keep replaying the moment she said his name, realizing now it wasn't a mistake, it was the truth surfacing for a second before she could shove it back down. I don't know if the marriage is salvageable. I don't know if I even want it to be. But I do know this: accidents happen. Panic doesn't. And no one calls their husband by another man's name unless that man has taken up space he was never supposed to have. Update: after the confrontation, my wife and I entered a strange, heavy silence. She slept in the guest room by choice, claiming she wanted to respect my space, but the truth was she couldn't look me in the eye without flinching. For the first few days, she kept trying to start small conversations, like asking what I wanted for dinner or if I needed anything from the grocery store. It felt bizarre, like she wanted to slip back into normalcy without acknowledging the crater she'd blown into our marriage. Every time she spoke, it sounded like someone rehearsing lines instead of actually talking to their husband. Meanwhile, the coworker's wife and I kept in touch. Not romantically, not emotionally, just as 2 people trying to navigate the same hellish reality. She told me her husband tried to minimize everything and claimed their connection was only emotional. But then she found hotel receipts. That shut down the lies fast. The night she discovered them, she sent me a picture of the receipt with shaking hands and simply wrote, "I'm done." Seeing her strength weirdly made me realize I'd been avoiding the truth about my own situation. Then the twist came. 3 days after the confrontation, my wife's coworker, the guy she'd been cheating with, emailed me. Not her. Him. He wrote this long, self-important message about how he never intended to cause harm and that he and my wife connected on a deep emotional level. He said he hoped I could find it in my heart to forgive her so she can heal. He even added, "She deserves happiness, and I hope you can give her space to become who she truly is." Reading that email felt like gasoline being dumped on a fire I was trying so hard to control. Not only did the man who slept with my wife feel entitled to comment on our marriage, he positioned himself as some wise mentor trying to guide me emotionally. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded the email to my wife and asked one question: "Did you ask him to send this?" Her reply came minutes later: "No. I'm so embarrassed. Please don't hate me." But something about her answer felt off. Too fast. Too defensive. too familiar in tone. So I checked our shared phone bill, a habit I hadn't had since we first started dating, and saw exactly what I feared. She'd called him the night before for over an hour, after our argument, after saying she wanted space to reflect. The call log showed multiple calls, some short, some long. She was still talking to him while asking me to consider reconciliation. When I confronted her again, she didn't deny it. Instead, she said she needed closure and that talking to him helped her process everything. She insisted the conversations weren't romantic. But when I asked if she would let me read their messages, she said no. That told me everything. A person with nothing to hide doesn't guard their phone like it's incriminating evidence. I told her separation was happening, effective immediately. She broke down, crying harder than I've ever seen. She begged, she apologized, she claimed their connection wasn't real, she said she had been confused and lost, she promised she'd cut him off. But I couldn't unsee the timeline. I couldn't unknow the level of deceit. I couldn't go back to being the man she called someone else's name. That night, I packed a bag and stayed at a hotel. She texted me nonstop, alternating between apologies, long emotional paragraphs, and then random memories from our relationship, anything to cling to a sense of closeness. I read every message, but the feeling that always came back was this cold, heavy clarity: love doesn't survive lies this layered. The coworker's wife filed for divorce. Her family rallied around her. She sent me a single message afterward: don't waste years trying to rebuild trust that someone willingly destroyed. I didn't respond, but I think I knew she was right. As of now, I haven't filed yet, but the papers are sitting in my glove compartment. My wife keeps asking for therapy, promising she'll do anything to fix it. She writes long handwritten letters about how she lost her way and how calling me by his name was a mistake that revealed her guilt. But the truth is simple: she didn't stop the affair until she was caught. And she didn't stop talking to him even after she watched our marriage collapse. The more distance I put between us, the more I realized the damage wasn't the name slip. It wasn't even the affair itself. It was the countless choices she made afterward, the lies, the secrecy, the continued connection she refused to sever. A marriage doesn't end in one moment. It ends slowly, in 1,000 pieces, until one day you look around and realize there's nothing left worth holding. So here's where I stand. Part of me mourns what we had. Part of me wants to disappear from this entire situation. But most of me finally understands that letting go doesn't mean giving up. Sometimes it's the only way to stop bleeding.